There was this lie that I once heard. It was a lie that I heard that stuck with me for a very long time. And this lie became into a secret. You see, this lie that I heard was that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough for anybody. And it wasn't just about being good enough. It was so many things that I felt that I wasn't enough. Growing up, I thought that maybe I wasn't pretty enough, or skinny enough, or tall enough, or fast enough, or smart enough. And this lie that I told myself became a secret. And this secret made me sick. But we all have secrets, right? Or maybe we've all had this feeling of not feeling good enough. I'm sure there's been a moment in your life or in our lives where we have felt that maybe, I don't know if this is right. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. Or maybe we start to question things. And for me, that's what I did growing up. You see, when I was younger, I did have a really great family, and I still have a really great family today. I grew up with 2 older sisters and a pretty awesome mom and dad. Now, unfortunately, my parents did separate, and they did get divorced. And for me, it was hard for me as a young girl to understand why. It was hard for me to understand why my parents didn't want to be together anymore, or why they didn't love each other anymore. And so growing up, I started to question that. And then I started to watch my parents struggle with their own things, whether it's their own addictions or a struggle just with life in general. But for me, it always came back to me, well, what was I doing wrong? Was I not being a good enough daughter to them? Or was I not being a good enough sister? And so I grew up feeling this type of disconnection. You see that there was something that was lacking for me. You know, it's something that we all yearn for is love and connection, right? And typically our parents are the first people that we receive that from. But for some reason, there was something in my heart that was missing. But we all want to feel loved, right? We all want to be connected. We all want to feel like we're a part of something, to find a purpose in life. Well, for me, I started looking in all the wrong places. And by the time I got to middle school, I started worrying about things that really didn't quite matter. I started worrying about what I looked like, what my hair looked like, what type of clothes I was wearing. I started wearing makeup at too young of an age, and I started worrying about what other people thought of me, especially other boys. Because you see, I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to feel connected. I just wanted to feel loved. But you see, I didn't want anybody to know about it. I didn't want to talk about it. So when I say that these lies became secrets, I didn't want anybody to know. I didn't want anybody to know what was maybe going on with my family or what was going on with me. And so I would go to school every day and I would put a mask on my face and I would pretend to be somebody that I wasn't. I would put a fake smile on my face because I just wanted to be happy. I didn't want anybody to know what was truly going on in my heart. Because it was a scary thing. It was scary to talk about it. It was scary to talk about our feelings or things that were maybe going on in my life. And so by the time I got to high school, things got even worse. And my addiction started to lead me to places that I never imagined going. But it wasn't just about my addiction, it was about the feeling of being disconnected. I started getting into trouble and making choices that I never thought that I would. And what these choices did is they left me ashamed. I felt so ashamed and so guilty for the person that I was becoming because that wasn't truly me. That isn't who I wanted to be. But yet again, in the back of my mind, I thought I had to live up to some type of expectation. You see, society puts this expectation on us that we're supposed to be somebody, right? That we're supposed to look a certain way, act a certain way, work at certain places. And that's what I thought. You see, but as this secret continued to make me sick, my addiction started to lead me down a path of destruction. I had thought that I wasn't going to make it out of. I thought I dug myself into such a deep hole that I was never going to come out alive. I did feel alone. I felt isolated, and I felt so disconnected. I felt so disconnected from reality, or even from my friends or from my family. But all I wanted to do was to feel loved. I didn't know where to turn to. I didn't know who to talk to. Well, when I almost nearly lost my life, I knew that something had to change. Fortunately enough for me, I had somebody reach out to me. I knew that I had to ask for help. I knew that something had to be different. And my sister had reached out to me. When I told her that I needed help, that I needed to get out of here, that I couldn't keep digging myself into this hole. And I actually spoke about it. I spoke about my addiction. I talked about what was going on in my life. And when she reached out to me and lended a helping hand, she didn't really understand addiction necessarily. She didn't really know or really understand what I was really going through at that time. But she saw that I was sick, and she saw that I was suffering. She said, "What can I do to help you?" Now, how often do we really do that to the people that we love and care about in our lives? How often do we actually reach out to somebody and offer a helping hand or show them some love? You see, when I moved in with my sister and she told me that I had to get clean and sober to do so, I thought that that was going to be impossible, because I truly didn't know that anybody could live a life of sobriety. I didn't really truly know or think that anybody could actually live in recovery. But due to an unfortunate event of losing one of my really good friends to a heroin overdose, I knew that I had to stay in recovery. It was then in those moments that I knew that I could not let my family go through what I watched his family go through. And so I grabbed on to recovery. And I knew that I was going to do whatever it took to stay clean and sober. And it was in those moments that I was grateful and fortunate enough to meet Douglas and Anthony, to hear of this mission of going out and sharing our stories and speaking out and speaking up about the issues that we care about. I knew that that's what I had to do. And when I stepped on stage for the very first time and I shared my story in front of over 800 freshman students, some of the most judgmental people you could ever be in front of, it was that day when I stepped off stage that I knew that this is where I was supposed to be. That this is what I was supposed to be doing. When those questions of growing up and wondering, well, why am I even here? What is my purpose? Why would Nadine even be here in the first place? It was that day that I knew that this was why. so I could continue to go out and share my story and let people know that you are enough. That we don't have to keep secrets no longer, that we can speak out about the things that are going on in our lives. That we can support and love one another. That we can be there for one another. And all I want to do is encourage students to know that they're not alone in the troubles that they're facing. Because for the longest time, I thought that that was me. I thought I was the only one. But you're not. There are people here who love you and care about you. And people who want to see you happy and succeed, right? Like everybody wants to live a happy life, right? Everybody wants to do things that they enjoy doing. Everybody wants to find things that they love and care about in their life. And for me, I've been able to do that. For me, when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to put a mask on my face anymore. I don't have to put a fake smile on anymore. I don't have to pretend to be somebody that I'm not because I'm proud of who I am today. Because for me, I know that I've made many, many mistakes in my life, but today, I no longer believe that I am one. And for me, that means something. For me, I know that I am enough. For me, I know that I've been able to find my purpose. Because for me, I've been able to realize that, yes, life is difficult. And things do get really hard. But whatever struggle that you're facing or any hard time that you're going through, I want you to understand that you're not alone. But you have to talk about it. Don't let these lies that we tell ourselves become secrets, because these secrets will continue to make you sick, and the sickness will continue to lead you to death. And I don't want you to be there. So I ask you to join us or to be with us and support whatever you care about in your life. To go out and make a difference, to do something that you love and that you care about. To find things that bring real happiness in your life. Because I promise you that at the end of the day, the only person who can truly start making these differences in your life, or the only person who can truly start making a difference in your life, you have to go out and be a leader, right? Like be a leader in your community. Stop being a follower. Stop trying to do what everybody else is doing. Because the only person who can start doing that is you. Thank you.